Congratulations on getting to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Did you ever think that would happen, and so quickly?
I didn't know if that would happen or not. I first was hoping that the words in my journals of the last 36 years, if I put them in some form of some sort of structure, I was hoping that they were worthy of putting between two hardback covers. That was the first hope, and I went away and read what I had and formulated a bit of structure around it and said, you know what, I think this is worthy of sharing. And then I started to pass it around and it started to translate to people. People were relating to it, and I was like, okay, this is good. This is what I want with a piece of art. And then to end up #1 on the New York Times bestseller, a hope, but I didn't know if it would be a reality.
That's really exciting. I wanted to ask you, why did you title it Greenlights?
So I titled it Greenlights because of this. So Greenlights, literally, we love green lights. People love green lights in life. They say go. They affirm our way. Proceed. Attaboy. Freedom. Carry on. We don't like red and yellow lights in life. Hardships, crises, interruptions, jackknifes. Sometimes we have to turn around. They slow us down. They get in our way. Though we don't like red and yellow lights, and we don't want them, oftentimes, I think most times, they actually can give us something that we need. I've learned, I think, in my life and from other people's lives, that we can create green lights in our future, being kind to our future self, create ease and freedom in our future by the decisions we make. We can engineer them in our future through our responsibilities and our relationship with responsibility and freedom. Sometimes green lights just fall in our lap and good with good fortune, and we got to be damn happy they're there and make the most out of them. Sometimes we catch green lights just via perspective. What I see as a yellow light, you may see as a green light. Because you maybe didn't give the crisis credit, and therefore you blew right by it and didn't even realize or recognize it as a yellow or red light just because you said, no, I'm not giving that credit, and that works as well. The ultimate theory in this is that eventually in life, all the yellow and reds do turn green. They reveal their green light assets. All of our hardships and crises reveal a green light asset via a lesson learned sometime in our life. Now, when we realize this, it's either in the moment of hardship, tomorrow, next week, or maybe it's on our deathbed. But eventually, all the red and yellows in our life will turn green, or at least reveal a green light asset, a lesson we were there to learn.
I quickly learned not to call you Matt. Your mama wouldn't like it. You don't like red sports cards, and you have a fierce love for family and adventure, but you really, Matthew, pulled the curtain back on your life, exposing warts and all. Was that hard?
No, that really wasn't hard. That was part of, this rodeo of humanity we're all going through. Not just my life, all our lives. And we have a tendency to want to cover up the warts. But in writing a book, part of the writing the book was it's a new means of me to communicate, and hopefully in an artful way, which is to get rid of the filters. We try to put filters in front of our warts and not show people. I wanted to be very, very honest. Some would call it brutally honest, but I just wanted to be honest about, well, that's just life. Life, sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's bloody. And hey, throw it all on the table. And I'm not judging the hard times. I'm not judging the bloody times. Those times actually were in hindsight, were some of the most impressive or times where I learned the most in hindsight. So throw it all out there. I think it'd be better if even more of us were more transparent about these things, and it would help us all actually judge people less, maybe forgive less, and say, hey, we're all in this thing together. Trying to work it out. Nobody's perfect. And if we acknowledge, guarantee ourselves and make a pledge with ourselves and others that we're going to do the best we can, that's as good as we can do.
It was a fun read. What would you say is one of the biggest green lights in your life? I have a guess, but I'm curious to hear it from you.
I've had quite a few green lights, as I said. Look, one of the biggest green lights in my life was actually a red light at the time. The year I had in Australia, where I went away 2 weeks out of high school, and my life, which was very affluent coming out of high school, came to a screeching halt. I was with a very odd family in the middle of the country in nowhere Australia. So my visions of beaches and Elle Macpherson were never realized. Let me just put it that way. So I'm there for a year, and I was forced, because I had no friends, I had no job, I had no phone, I couldn't call. I was forced to rely on myself. I was forced to go introspective into myself. I halfway lost my mind over there. And when you read it in the book, it's quite comedic, but it's also quite scary. But I had a hunch during that time when I was a bit going insane that there was a lesson, there was a green light lesson. And if I could just endure the entire year of being lost, lonely, unfound, not knowing what way was up and down. But that year, the decisions I made and the writing I did, mostly I wrote to myself, actually, letters to myself, and I would return those letters to myself. That year was a year where I was forced to rely on myself. It was a year where I found some identity and understood and had to find on my own what I stood for, what I did not stand for. So yeah, what I was for and what I was against. And I would not be where I am today with the life I have if I did not have that year, that very tough year that I had in Australia.
It started out as a green light. It seemed to quickly turn red, and now looking back, and then it's a big green light now. And this seems so McConaughey to me. You spent time in the desert writing this.
Yes, I took off. You know, I've been threatening to take these journals away. I've been keeping journals for 36 years, and for the last 15 years, I've been threatening to say, "Hey, let's go away and read them and see if something's worthy of sharing in a book." And I never had the courage to do so. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, I had hired a ghostwriter to come help me write this. And we met one time. And after that first meeting, his boss pulled him off the project because they weren't allowed to work on memoirs. So then it was me and my diaries. And just as soon as he got pulled off the project, I realized, and Camilla, my wife, realized, okay, this is a gift. Now you're going to do what you were supposed to do in the first place. You need to go write it. Nobody else could write it. So I packed them all up. And with a kick in my backside from Camilla, who said, "Don't come back until you got something," I headed off to the desert. And the first 12 days were no electricity because I just wanted to be with nothing but me and my journals. And I needed to go to the desert because I didn't want to have internet. I didn't want to have the access or the ability to call anyone or text anyone. I wanted to be forced to sit with who I've been in the last 50 years of my life and sit there and say, "This is what you got. Entertain yourself. Let's see what's here."
Your career really took off with The Time to Kill, and you talked about how after that moment of fame you really needed to get grounded. Then when the book came out, it was interesting. You posted a scripture on Instagram, Matthew 10:20. Then in the book you quote Matthew 6:22 as one of your favorites. How important is your faith?
My faith is very important. I mean, look, I've gone through times in my life, agnostic times, which were not as much for me about times disbelieving in God. They were more times for me where I needed to have a more solid hand on the wheels of my own self-determination. They were times where I was like, "Oh, you're letting yourself off the hook, McConaughey. You need to take more responsibility for your own self-determination." But faith is very big for me. I need my Sundays. I need my inventory of my Sundays. I need those Sundays to press reset, to go to a place where I understand that I'm at the very, at the highest number 2 in that position under God. So faith is very strong in my life. Even when maybe I don't feel it is, I'm reminded and have been reminded in beautiful ways through my life of my faith and the existence of my own belief in God. It's important to me. It's important to my decisions. It's important to our family. It's something I continually try to work on now.
You know, you talk about, just for a brief moment, it was a quick line. You said, "You got your wink back."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means, Richard Linklater, director of Dazed and Confused, and many others, he and I always talk about, hey, if you're not sure how to react, the default emotion should be sense of humor, which I think is a good thing for all of us to maybe take in our back pocket into our daily lives. The wink back. So I've at a time after Time to Kill, I was had all this affluence. I had everything. The world was a yes. All these yeses and options were coming at me that I'd never had before. And I'm like, wow, you're offering me the ability to do things now that I've never had the option to do before. So my feeling was like, I'd say yes to all of this, but wait a minute, I need some discernment here because I have to make some choices because there's only 24 hours in a day and they're not giving any more than that. So I had to go away, put on a backpack, go somewhere they didn't know. People didn't know my name, didn't know who I was, but they didn't even speak the same language. Well, I've found that when I do go away on those times, my sense of humor does come back. I find places where, I'll forgive myself for something that's bothering me in my life, or I'll figure out enough's enough and I'm going to change something that's bothering me in my life. And then I kind of find the sense of humor in life and in people and engagements and relationships. And it's been extremely healthy. So when I'll go away, I'll come back, I'll have my wink back. And when I have my wink back and I'm whistling around the house and everything, I am in a much better place than when I'm taking things maybe overly seriously or giving too much credit to things that don't need credit and creating false drama here and there. No, I like it when I got my wink back.
You got your wink back, and then you said, hey, I'm going to do the Dallas Buyers Club. I don't care what you think. I'm going to shoot this in the fall. We've got a shoot date, but you really didn't have anything. But
no, we didn't have anything, but we weren't bluffing. Even though we didn't have the money to make the film, we did not ask permission. And myself, once we found the director, Jean-Marc, and the producers, Robbie Brenner and such, we just put a date on the calendar and said, we're doing it in the fall. And I would tell everyone that I ran to, we're doing Dallas Buyers in the fall. And behind closed doors, my agent would come to me and go, there's no money. There's really no movie. And I'd be like, we're doing it in the fall. And then he'd offer me, I'd get other offers, really good offers for something another film to go in the fall. And I was like, why would you offer me that? I'm doing Dallas Buyers Club in the fall. He's like, Matthew, again, there's no money. There's no real movie. I was like, yes, there is. And we just sort of willed that one to happen. And everybody involved in it, from Jean-Marc to the producers, did not ask permission. Bold-faced told everyone that we went into, we are making this movie in the fall by hook or by crook. And somehow we worked up $4.9 million and we made the movie we made.
That was a fun chapter in the book. Now, you write about the naked Bongos incident in Austin. Everybody knows about that, right? I was a young reporter at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you faced the media, you came out and you talked to us. You said, I just want to make one thing clear. I wasn't naked. I was wearing a bandana.
I'm so glad I said that.
Oh, that was such an awesome answer.
I remember everyone, we all had quite a few laughs, and y'all it was like everyone understood that, like, wow, what a great thing to get arrested for. It's sort of like Bongo naked t-shirts were all over Austin. And I remember before I came out there to greet y'all, I was like, I had a moment with myself where I kind of had to pray. And I was like, look, I'm not a man who's been raised to end up in jail. That I don't like. But the reason I'm in jail, I'm playing bongos in my birthday suit at my house and my company, I don't regret that. I've done that before, and I will do that again. Yep, I'm going to go out and greet the press. And so I'm glad I came out there to say hi to y'all that morning.
Yeah, that was a fun day. Now, this is pretty exciting. You're going to be part of the Texas Book Festival with Ethan Hawke. Tell me about that relationship.
Yeah, well, Ethan and I worked together actually with Linklater, and Linklater's obviously worked with Ethan quite a few times and myself quite a few times, but we made the Newton Boys together. Ethan and I have been mainly respectful acquaintances through the years, meaning we don't have each other's phone number, we don't spend Christmases together, but we're always happy to see each other. You could tell he was a special man, not just an actor, but a man. Ethan's got a real constitution about who he is and what he believes in. And he's carried that and gone his own way in his own career path and lived his life personally in a very respectable way. And so he's from Texas, I'm from Texas. We're going to talk about Greenlights and other things. He's going to interview me this Saturday, and I'm really looking forward to it because he's an author himself. This is my first book. He's written quite a few. Well,
that's going to be an exciting time. It was a fun read for me. And now I highly suggest and recommend this book, especially go to the book fair, check that out as well. I wanted to ask you a couple more questions about Austin and quarantine before I say goodbye. How are you getting through quarantine?
Well, look, my position And I want to preface this with saying I'm in a privileged position, meaning my pantry's full. I don't have to work today to pay my rent tomorrow, like so many of us out there. So I've chosen to say, hey, I want to keep my family as safe as possible right now. My kids are doing virtual school. We have my 88-year-old mother who has pulmonary challenges living with us for the last 7 months. So that's a daily thing that I'm trying to keep an eye on and act in the most responsible way so she doesn't get it. We already spend a lot of time in the kitchen and having meals together, but now, we sit down and have 2 meals a day at the table. The assets of this time from my life and my family is that my mother, my children's grandmother, is living in the same house. For the last 7 months, they're seeing each other every single day, and they play together and they do things together. Where before they were seeing each other once every 2 weeks. I would say that the dogs are getting petted a little bit longer these days. The kids are doubling down on certain creative hobbies they had that maybe they wouldn't have doubled down on if they would have been back in school. So we're trying to find the Greenlight assets of this time, understanding that it's a very awkward and even tragic time for many people, and looking forward to the day when there's consensus and understanding we can all agree that, hey, it's okay to go out and physically engage again.
Amen. You're the Minister of Culture at UT. You're the Minister of Culture for Austin. You really love this town. Why is this home?
Well, I can live anywhere I want. I love the potential of Austin. I love that Austin's actually always been, in a wonderful way, less impressed with my achievements than even I am sometimes. And I love that about Austin. It respects him, but it's less surprised when I, do something well or win an award. Austin's less surprised about it than I am. I'm more surprised when I get an award or do something good in my career than Austin is. And that's sort of a backhanded compliment. The rule in Austin has always been, all you got to be is you. Austin's never needed proof of me that I'm here. Austin doesn't need me in a picture. Austin is the city where if I'm walking down this side of the street and you're walking down the other side of the street and you recognize me, Austin yells across the street, say, man, you got a joint? And I yell back, be a lot cooler if you did. And we both laugh our ass off, and so do the people on the street, and we wave and move on. Austin is a young town. Austin is turning into a growing metropolis. We have some fun challenges ahead of us of how do we maintain our DNA and maintain our soul, our village values of who we are and why we love it here as we embrace progress and become this metropolis. So I'm looking forward to sharing a values campaign, a competent and shared values campaign of Austinites to sell and redefine our values to ourselves, but also to educate and initiate all the newcomers coming in, saying, now here's who we are, here's who we're not. And if you don't want to abide, then please make a stop, not a stay, and keep moving on. Because we have the opportunity to move forward and become this great metropolis and be a leader, a leading bright light on the planet Earth, Austin, Texas, to lead into the future and to be an example of how to have a purpose-filled city, how to have a profit-filled city at the same time, how to be a city that's looking forward but also respects its traditions. And that's the place I'm looking forward to us going.
One more question about your passion about soccer. I'm right next to McCalla Place, saw the pitch go in. This is going to be a fun time with Austin FC.
It's going to be beautiful. And hey, I'm with you. When that grass went in, it was just grass, but something about it became more real. Something about Austin FC and soccer in Austin just became really real when that grass went in the pitch. Look, Austin is now a major international destination. University of Texas, Longhorns, that's our team. But not everyone went there. There are some people that moved to Austin that are looking for a team. Now this team doesn't compete or steal the limelight from University of Texas Longhorns, but it is the international game that's come to Austin. Now our opportunity at Austin here is we're very immediately right now saying, okay, that's great. We're happy that this great international game's come to us, but now we're going to bring Austin to the game. So what's that experience going to be like at the games? what rivalries are we going to have? What are going to be our rituals at the game? It's going to be wild. It's going to be family friendly. And it's going to be, hopefully a great event that is going to be, when you're there, the place to be on the planet.
Matthew, this has been a fun green light for me. Thank you for talking to us today. I know you're really busy, and we just really appreciate it. It's a fun read, and go out there and get it.
Thank you. And I hope everyone enjoys it, and thanks for the warm reception so far. And Austin, here we go. Here's to creating and catching more of these for ourselves and each other.
Well, all right.
All right.
Thank you, Matthew.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was great. I will close it down again. We're done taping. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And it's going to get crazy. So we can't wait to see the soccer, and UT's on a winning streak. So thank you so much.
Let's do it. I appreciate it. See you next time.
All right, brother.
Okay.